Ooh, that looks tasty.
Hey, so, what god you worshiping over there? The, Wrath Lord, huh? Yeah, I'm, more of a Storm Dragon guy myself. I guess, me and my two friends here are gonna have to, go kick his butt. Let's go. Welcome, folks. Today, the Hungry Gamer is back with another game review, and today we are talking about Radiant, the offline battle arena. A game from Heel Turn Games and designed by Jack Murray. Now, what this game is it is a card-based game that is doing its best to imitate the online MOBA games like League of Legends and things like that. If you are not at all interested in how this game plays and just want to jump ahead to my final thoughts, then you're going to want to move to the timestamp on the screen right now. And for those of us who are still here, let's go through what it is you are seeing in front of you. And clearly you have two players set up here, and each player will have selected a god that they are championing. And so I have the Wrath Lord here, and I'll just go ahead and put that face up so you can see it. And then on the other side we have the Storm Dragon, and I will set that right there. And then in front you'll see that there are three divine conduits, whoops, that's going the wrong way, on both sides. And the areas in between are the three lanes of combat. That'll make sense in just a minute. And you'll see that each one of these conduits has a symbol down here, and that symbol matches the symbol on your chosen god. So each player has three different conduits that match their god's symbol. In addition to that, each player has three different heroes that they choose or draft at the beginning of the game. And here's the other ones for the other player. The next thing is each player has a deck of 30 cards. And these cards are made up of preset decks from each of the characters that you select. So each character comes with its own set of 10 cards. Now, even though each card has a specific character's name on it, that does not mean that the rest of the team can't use it. Any player, any character on your team can use any of the cards. The characters and art are really there, I think, so you can separate them out at the end of the game. The next thing that you'll see is each player has three items that they are able to pick before the game, and these are items that they will be able to purchase with the power up here, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And I will show you these other items that I set out for the other player. Then we both have this 5 power card here, and this represents whether or not you have used a buyback, which is a way to resurrect a single hero, or a mass resurrection, in which case you resurrect all of your heroes. And once you've used that, you flip it over and it is done and gone. And then that's it. That is all that you have. Now, the way the game starts is each player, you go back and forth, places down one of their heroes. And you'll see that each hero is two-sided. You place it with the side with this power cost right here, face up. That means they are not leveled up. The other side means they're slightly more powerful and they have been leveled up. So each player decides which lane they want to put their hero in. And when they're in that lane, that means they're only going to be able to attack directly in front of them. So just for the sake of argument, I will make this a little bit wider. I'll put my cat lady here, and I want to turn them so you can see them a little bit better. Now, then each player draws 5 cards, and you see I have my 5 cards right here, and I'll draw my other 5. Now, I will say that there is a slight difference on the first turn of the game. On the first turn of the game, whoever goes first only gets 2 action points. But we'll ignore that for the moment. Every other turn of the game, when it is your turn, you generate 3 action points. And you can use your action points in a variety of different ways. And so as you'll see here, you can use it to move, and that very simply means that you will move from one lane to an adjacent lane. You can do an attack, and I'll explain attacking in just a minute. You can do a recover, which means if you have used a character and they are expended like that,
By recovering them, you simply place them so they are active again. And again, these would be facing my direction, but it's easier for you to see that way. You are able to level up, which means you spend the amount of power listed on the card of your hero, and you flip it over. You can manifest, which means you actually bring your god from off the board and place him or her down on one of the lanes, and they are now a combatant. Or you can use what is called a talent. A talent is something that is on one of your cards down at the bottom. And that means you spend that number of actions and you get to do whatever it says down there. I will explain these numbers in just a minute. Now, I will also say here that at any point, if your god is killed, you have lost the game immediately. You also lose the game immediately if you ever have to draw cards and have none left. Now, let's talk a little bit about attacking, because that's the bulk of the game, what is probably the most interesting. So, we'll start out and we will just assume that it is this player's turn, and Vigo here wants to attack my Divine Conduit to try to destroy it. Well, let's look at the card here and see what we have. So down here we have Vigo's special ability. Vigo gains +3 armor when attacking an enemy hero. He does 4 damage, generally has 0 armor, and he has 7 health. Oh, that is his leveled up side. His regular side is he has 4 attack, 6 health, and it costs 3 to level him up, and no special ability at the bottom. So I decide that Vigo is going to attack this conduit. Great. I can't do anything. All that's going to happen is when he hits the conduit, I will do 2 damage to him, as you see, right there, and it will take 5 damage to destroy this conduit. Vigo is doing 4 damage, but before this all gets settled, Vigo, or the player with Vigo, has a chance to play one of these cards in what is called the Clash. And you'll see some cards at the bottom say Clash, and that means that specific ability happens when played during a clash. And again, the Clash is right now during the attack before we do our resolution. Vigo could play any of these cards. So we'll say that Vigo's going to play this one, and he would play it face down. Now the face down only matters if you are fighting another hero. When you're fighting the conduit, there is no opportunity to do a clash with your conduit. So Vigo would flip over and would add his other card, which is Cleave. And what this has done is it has added 2 more damage here. So now you can see that Vigo is doing 6 damage. And then this would happen if he were eligible to use it, but he's not because he's not fighting anybody. So that means my conduit here would take 6 damage. That is enough to kill it. However, remember, the conduit does 2 damage to Vigo, and all damage is done simultaneously. I will discard that. And had Vigo had any armor, it would reduce this damage by however much armor he had. Because he destroyed my conduit, I have to flip it over, and you will see I now have this special ability. Once my deity is out, it will always recover at the beginning of the turn. That means go from this position here to here, and it is now readied. And because he destroyed my conduit, he gains 1 power. I also forgot to say at the beginning of this player's turn, because they have Iskandar, who is, as you'll see here, an evoker, he would also have gained 1 power. I will say you can have 3 evokers, but you still only get 1 power at the beginning of your turn. And that would be one of the 3 action points that this player can take. Then I'll take a second one and recover Vigo for 1. And then I will do my third action and move 1 conduit, 1 lane over. And so now they are there. We come to the end of the turn, and the next thing that happens is this player has a chance to do any revives that they want. So if they had 5 power and someone dead, they could spend all 5 power, flip this card over, and bring them back on whatever lane they want, and they would come with any items that they have. Or, if let's say 2 or 3 of them were dead, they could flip this card over and destroy one of their conduits, in which case all of them would come back again with any items that they happen to have. After that, you go into the shop step, and that is where you can use any of your power to buy any of the items that are here. And again, you see how much they cost. These are static bonuses that they give to whatever hero you put them on. And then if they do something else at the bottom, it will tell you there. And just so you can see, the way that looks is, let's say I wanted to put this card on Iskandar, I would just place it on him just like that. And I have Iskandar on the wrong side. Just like that, so you see the static bonuses on the side. Then the last thing that you do is you draw a single card. And that would go into your hand. Now, I'm also glad that I drew this, because you'll see here that on the bottom it says Ultimate Clash. This thing down here only happens if your hero that you're playing it on has either been leveled up, or if your hero that you're playing it on is divine. And usually that is all your gods are divine, and there are some items that will make you divine as well. Then we would move over to the other player's turn. And it is the same basic thing, but there is one more thing that I do want to show you. And that is, let's say I'm declaring my attack. And because I have two heroes here, I can declare an attack with both of them. And so that's what I'm going to do. But I'm not going to attack Iskandar here. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to attack this divine conduit. That's going to be my target. Now, Iskandar has an option. Iskandar can choose to block. And so now he would be exhausted like that, and he would be blocking this attack. So no longer is my target the conduit, my target is now him. The only minus is that Iskandar's attack value here would become a 0 for this fight. Now I would exhaust both of these heroes, and I would be able to play a single clash card, just like I did before. And I'm going to play on Ren this card here, which will give me 3 plus 3, and then next time I do a clash card, I'd get another bonus. But for now, I'm going to do this plus 3 face down. And then Iskandar is going to play this card, which will give him a bonus of 2 and 1. Again, face down, then they would both get flipped over, and we would add it all up. So my attacking force has 3, 6, 9. They're doing 9 damage, while the defense is 1. So I would do 8 damage here to Iskandar, which would defeat him, and Iskandar would do 2 damage back, and this player over here would get to pick which of the heroes takes the damage. And for this argument, it doesn't matter, so I will just say that the 2 damage is given here. Then this would be discarded, and because I defeated him, I would gain 2 power. And then the rest of the turn would play out just like you saw. And you go back and forth until one player's god is defeated. And so that's it. That's how this game works. So what do I like about this game? Well, first off, I really like the art. And you can see a little bit of it here, but I'm just going to show you the character art on these here. And so you can just see they're just really well done. Each of them seems to have a personality and a story that goes with them, even though that's not something that is necessarily given to you in the game itself. And I just really enjoy all of the artwork on all of these different characters. I think they're very distinct and they're very unique. Speaking of the characters being very distinct and unique, they all play very differently while only having 10 different cards in each deck. And I really do like that. And this is a good time for me to say that I do also have a single expansion deck here, which had 3 characters in it as well. In addition to how distinct and good-looking and unique the characters are, I also really do think this gameplay is very clean. There's not much going on. They've set limits on how many cards you're usually able to clash, so there's never a moment where you're saying, oh, well, there's my first card, and oh, you know what? There's another one. Oh, and another one. Oh, and you play 2, so I'm going to play 2 also. And you don't have this back and forth. It's just, for the most part, 1 card, and you're done. There's a couple characters that have the ability to play a second one, but really, that's really it. It's quick, it's easy, there's not a lot of math, it's easy to figure out what's going on. And because of that, the game is fast. The first time you play, it'll probably take you 45 minutes to an hour. The second time you play, it's going to take you half an hour. The third time you play, you're probably playing in 20 minutes. It's a very quick game. I'll also say that it is pretty compact. I could, if I really, really wanted to, I could probably play this game on side-by-side airplane tray tables. I don't know that I would, but I probably could. It is fairly compact. I appreciate that there are 2 resources that you are tracking, and that is it. And these resources at the same time, I'll say, I really appreciate that you have very hard choices to make. Do you want to level your character up? Well, you can do that, but that's going to cost you some of this power. And if you do that, well, you're not going to get a lot of power because there's just not that much in the game that you can get. You can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you kill everything, you're going to get 9 power, and that's it. Yes, you might have an evoker. Yes, you might have a card that gives you some, but you get the idea. And so then if you're trying to buy these items, well, some of these items, well, I have inexpensive ones here, but some of them cost 6, 7, 8 power. And so you really have to make these decisions, and that doesn't even bring into account the fact that you need to hold on to stuff to revive somebody because some of your characters are going to get killed. That's just how it's going to go. So all of that I like. I like that it's fast. I like the art. I like the characters. Everything about that is good, and I really, really appreciate that. It's just not that hard to understand how to play the game. Now, let's talk about what some of my quibbles are. And the first one is the rulebook here. Now, it's pretty well laid out. It's very clear what things do and what things mean in this rulebook. I have to say, it is clear. However, it could be laid out a little bit better. And I believe the designer knows that because he even pointed me towards another fan-made rules layout that's a little easier to find things. See, that's the problem with this. It's not the easiest to find what you're looking for all the time when you're flipping back through. It's clear. When you find it, it explains it quite well, but sometimes it can be a little bit hard to find what you need. So that's a pretty small quibble. My next quibble is the box. Every now and then I get games that are for cards that are in a box like this. Well, the problem is I can't store them that way, and they just kind of float around, and it's just odd the way that they fit. And so that's a little bit of a bummer. Yes, I could very easily pull this out and get some little deck boxes and put it in there, but something to keep in mind. My next quibble with the game is that I do wish that there was a little more story to it. I don't know why these gods are fighting. I don't know why there are cat people and bear people and birds. I have no idea. And I do wish I had a little more of that story. That would be fun to kind of be able to dive a little more into it. But that might not be the type of thing that you get in MOBA games, which is what this is a analog version of. So I don't know. I like the art so much that I wish I knew a little bit more about the characters. And then the last thing that I'll say is this is a very easy game to play, a very hard game to master. Now, in many ways, that's a good thing. However, I will say that because of that, if you are playing for the first time against somebody who's played several times, you're probably going to get waxed. Now, play 3 or 4 times and you know what's going on, especially if you play with the same decks. But that is something to keep in mind. I should also add that there is a variant of the game, which is actually what they recommend, where you draft your heroes. And so let's say I picked Ichiro and then my opponent picked Octavian. Well, then we would both get a chance to ban some other characters. So nope, nobody's going to play Corvus, and then nobody's gets to play Rin, and then we just do a snake draft from there. So you kind of have a way to pick some heroes, and then others you get to keep your opponent from getting. And that is the recommended way to play. And again, I believe that is something that is very common in MOBA games. Again, I don't know, I don't play them because any real-time video game that involves not a first-person shooter style thing, I'm horrible at, and I just don't play them. But so there you have it, folks. That is Radiant Offline Battle Arena. I do think this is a good head-to-head game. I think if you like board games and you like MOBA games, this is 100% a must-own. If you look at it and you just like the art, then go for it. Jump right in. I think the characters, they look good, they all play uniquely, and I don't know what the price was on this expansion, but this was 3 new characters and just this tiny little deck. So expansions seem like they must be quite affordable, and I'm guessing there's going to be a lot more. Which brings me to the next point, is that even though this is a review, I was asked to do this because they have, in February, a new Kickstarter coming up with some new material, as well as a chance to get the original game as well. So, as I said, if you like MOBA games and board games / card games, this is a Kickstarter you gotta check out. If you like the art, if you just like the way that sounded, this just very fast head-to-head combat where there's a little strategy as you're moving and changing lanes a little bit. But if you like the way that sounds, and you like that kind of chess match with this fun fantasy setting, then again, this is a Kickstarter that you're gonna want to check out. So, as always, if I made any mistakes, please let me know in the comments with a timestamp and I will get that into the Klingon subtitles. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.